Sure. No problem.
Hi guys. That's our next panel. They're really, I guess they're very excited about speaking because they're chatting a lot. Anyway, so once again, I'm Kathy Taylor, your social media insider and occasional social programmer for Media Post. Very happy to have our next presenter here, Phil Zulli. As far as I can tell, TVG Digital, which if you don't know them, are a social agency based in London, they really do about, but to me seems like about the most comprehensive look at Facebook data that I've seen, because how many billion impressions have you guys looked at? 4 billion or something? Oh, sorry, 400 billion. Stupid me. Over like 276 clients. They've been releasing quarterly reports about how they're seeing Facebook, from a pricing perspective, what categories are doing, different categories are doing, how mobile is performing. So the third quarter report is coming out probably in, a couple of weeks, and it's really, I'm really looking forward to it. It's great stuff. So anyway, just a little on Phil's background. He's the VP of Agency Relations at TVG Digital. And his job is to ensure that social media campaigns deliver high-quality connections and measurable brand results. And over the past 5 years, he has led sales and operations for digital services firms in search and social media. And he also has an extensive background in internet measurement. This is kind of apropos, with companies including Omniture, Nielsen, and Yahoo. I think you've heard of them. So please give him a hand and come on up, Phil. Thanks.
Picking up. Oh, there we go. All right, great. Well, thanks for lasting the day. Almost over. I guess there's one behind me, but we have probably about 15 minutes of content, and then we can open it up to questions. So hopefully this will be quicker. Actually, I don't know. Looks like some of you were here for the last session, and I think there might be some overlap. I walked in today and I heard talk about sponsored stories, and I will start talking about some of those ad units. So I'll be interested in seeing if this is all consistent. So we're going to dive into Facebook performance numbers, but this is not about the stock price, in case anybody was here for that information. However, if you were one of the early eager investors in Facebook, you might find some solace in these numbers because they're actually encouraging. Facebook is making more money per ad served. Their ads are more engaging, so that's all good news. This is on the back of new ad formats, which we'll talk about, sponsored stories and mobile, etc. So this report will talk about how all this is happening. Just a quick bit on how TVG is in the position to make these statements. Kathy talked about our background. We were the first API partner for Facebook back in 2009 to bring a product to market. We're working with the largest advertisers on Facebook, literally have run thousands of campaigns, served 600 billion total impressions. This study looks at about 400 billion of those. 85 million clicks, 50 million fans, lots and lots of data to draw from. And having seen the growth of Facebook advertising, we've actually come to believe that rapid fan acquisition is really no longer the proper strategy. It's more about quality, engagement, reach, ROI. Those are the things that are most important to brand advertisers. It's great to race to 1 million fans, but what are you going to do when you get there? What are those fans worth? So we're constantly asking our clients, why are you doing that? What's your purpose for getting to that fan goal? Obviously, fan acquisition is still important, but only as a component of a larger social strategy. That includes engagement and measurement. And so a full-service social offering has to include a better way to recruit fans, meaning quality fans, a better way to engage fans, and that would be through connecting with your fans through passion centers, as we call them, and making the right offer at the right time, reaching more fans through word of mouth and virality, and using all the different social ad types that are available, and then finally wrapping that up all with measurement. Again, understanding what is the impact to the brand. Maybe it's brand awareness, it's brand preference or something to do with sales. So we're helping our customers figure that out, as well as do all of the important blocking and tackling with social media campaigns. And so as a byproduct of this work that we've been doing for the top advertisers on Facebook, we've compiled this report. This is a quarterly report. Apologize for the timing because Q3 just ended 2 days ago. We don't have all of the Q3 data. I'll try to give you some trends, but what this report is looking at is 400 billion impressions from Q2 2011 to Q2 2012. One thing to keep in mind as I'm going through this, that this report is about trends. So if you, I'm assuming everybody here has run Facebook campaigns. If you don't see your CPCs or your CTRs mapping up to what we're saying, that's probably okay. Put it in context of your campaign goal. Also keep in mind that we've run thousands of campaigns. This looks across lots of different advertisers, lots of different verticals. So as long as you're optimizing to the correct goal, this is really just interesting data. So just something to keep in mind. Here's the narrative. This is the executive summary. And I'll talk to each of these in detail, but if you want to leave right after this slide, I can understand. What we're seeing, CPMs are higher, good for Facebook. CPCs are higher, also good for Facebook. But these two aren't necessarily bad for advertisers because, third point, click-through rates or engagement is up. And so I'll go into why these three things are happening and then finish up with the method, so which ad units are working the best. Feel free to jump into questions. I don't know, Kathy, if we do this at the end or in the middle, I'm fine either way.
Yeah, if you see a
Hand up, I'll let you know. Okay. CPM increased by 58% in that 12-month period. Average CPM in the U.S. is now 39 cents. That's an effective CPM. This TPG mostly runs CPC campaigns, so we calculate what the effective CPM is. But CPM really is important for Facebook. It's a good indication of their earnings per ad served, because their actual costs are based on ad impressions, not necessarily a click. That's their revenue. So CPM being strong is good for Facebook. It also means that the inventory is working better. They have to serve fewer ads to get the same number of clicks. That's actually good for advertisers as well. The ad units make a difference. We'll talk more about sponsored stories and mobile, which are doing really well, and they are delivering better CPMs for Facebook. So that's the first big point. On the cost side, costs are still increasing, but at a much slower rate. So in the previous quarter report, we saw a 23% increase across the board for CPCs. In this quarter, we only saw a 9% growth. If you were to extend these lines of this chart backward and forward, you're always most likely going to see an increase in CPCs, and that's because there's more advertisers. It's a bidded marketplace. There's more demand. So CPC growing is not necessarily a big issue, but the tail off in the growth of CPCs while CPMs are increasing is good because the delta is your click-through rate, and that means that ads are more effective. Higher CPMs, lowering CPCs is a good thing. Click-through rates are doing better. Give you a second to absorb that one. Took me a little while. And here's the payoff for advertisers. Engagement, or measured by click-through rate, is up by 11%. That's the first time that's happened across the board since Q3 2011. The big difference were in social context. So it's John Smith likes, or you see your friend's name in an ad, people are more likely to click it. Friends equal clicks. Friend names equal clicks. They're great references. On top of that, brands and the agencies, they're doing a better job advertising themselves. So messaging is better, targeting is better, creative is better. So that all results in more effective ads and higher click-through rates. And ultimately, higher click-through rate means a lower CPC for an advertiser, because that's how Facebook determines what CPCs are. Basically, it's on how effective the ad is. So the other big impact has been the new ad units. I probably heard a little bit of that when I walked in. I'm sure you've heard more about Facebook ad units and the fact that there are so many. But the new ad units are working. So let's talk a little bit about those. If you haven't seen these already, I just thought it would be useful to put these up on the screen. On the left side are the standard marketplace ads. You can also have sponsor stories that run along the right side. Those have been around for a while. The newer versions, or the newer ad units, are desktop newsfeed. The first one is a desktop newsfeed. The purpose here is to make it look like it's an organic timeline update. Really, it's media bought by an advertiser. Those are effective. I'll talk in more detail about how much so. And then on the mobile side, it works similar to the newsfeed. So there's no right-hand side where you can post an ad on mobile, but you fire up your phone, start up Facebook, you're scrolling through your timeline, you see Phil Zulli likes Amazon, you think that's a timeline update. Really, that's paid media. But very effective right now. So let's talk about the two that we're seeing are the most effective. First is the sponsored story. I'll breeze over this because I think you were talking about that at the end of the last session, basically taking your friend's engagement with the brand, turning it into an ad to ensure that your friends see that engagement. The difference between a page-like ad, the traditional ad on the left, and the sponsored story, again, is really the name. But how much more effective is that page-like story? 53% more engaging based on click-through rates than the standard ads. And on top of that, the price for those ads are cheaper. I heard at the very end of the last one that sponsored stories are bought on CPM. I suppose that's true, but I would say 90% of the campaigns we're running sponsored stories, we do it on a CPC. Really depends on the goal. If you're looking for actions and getting likes, then you want CPC. If you're looking at impressions and brand, CPM can work just as well. So they're more effective and they're cheaper. Mobile ads. This is a screenshot of one. Natan, you're not here, are you? I borrowed this ad. This is the Facebook app inside your smartphone. You're scrolling through your timeline. You see that your buddy likes Amazon, and you can like that page here. How much more effective are these ads? 14 times higher in terms of click-through rate than the standard desktop ad. So if you look at the click-through rate, 0.08 for the desktop ad is the average click-through rate that we've seen. That number is actually high because what we do when we're defining desktop, we're talking about the normal desktop ad plus newsfeed. Desktop alone, which is the standard ASU or ad space unit, the average click-through rate is like 0.03 or 4%. The next level up is desktop newsfeed only. You see about 0.5% or better. And with mobile, you'll see 1.1% in click-through rates, and that's 14 times higher than the desktop ads. And Facebook is getting about $10 CPM for those newsfeed ads, which is pretty significant. And that's 13 times more than they get for desktop ads. But even though those CPMs are so high, the cost per fan, so the overall fan acquisition cost, is still much cheaper for brands. Significantly much cheaper, by 29%. So those are the very interesting facts about mobile. We'll see how this plays out in Q3. We'll have the data very soon, but as I showed you with that ad sample, right now, to be honest, a lot of people aren't really realizing that that's an ad. So they'll get more accustomed to it. Facebook will have to adopt and be nimble and confuse us all and introduce more ad units, but that's all good, I suppose. They got to keep innovating. Go.
Can you talk about the distribution of ad units currently on desktop versus mobile? Because Facebook's saying more than 50% of users on mobile platform. I'm just wondering, in terms of ad distribution, kind of where we are right now.
I can't speak to that. I don't have the data on that yet. I think the Q3 report will have that, so I don't know. I will tell you that within the campaigns that my team is running, which is again within the agency side of the business of TVG, which roughly represents about 50% of our business, mobile ads are much, much smaller than 50%, just because they're new. We're trying to do them more. They have to be sponsored stories, but there's no reason that we can't turn it on. I would say sponsored stories in general, though, not just mobile sponsor stories, but sponsor stories in general are becoming not quite 50%, but very close. And in some campaigns where the advertiser already has a really strong fan base, 500,000 or so, we might just turn on sponsor stories from the start, just let it run for a while, and see really good CPF, CPC, because we can leverage that fan base. So I think we like to do a mix. I mean, there's 12 different types of sponsor stories: page likes, apps used, offers. There's a ton of them. Now there's page posts and page post videos. Our job is to make sure we're using the right ad type for the campaign goal. If it's just fan acquisition, sponsor stories are great. If it's more engagement that you're looking for, then you need to be doing more page posts. So I think Facebook throwing out the number of 50% is probably too much of a generalization. You really need to figure out what your campaign goal is and what ad unit is going to work the best for you. Let's go open up to questions, actually, because that's all the data that I had.
Well, yeah, so anybody who has a question, feel free. But we had talked about this earlier, it came up on the panel, and then also in addition to that, you and I had talked about it, is this thing that came up about Reach Generator, that Facebook shelving that. And was anybody at the big Facebook thing in February?
The FMC?
They had this huge confab. And it was kind of as far as I could tell, it was kind of the centerpiece of that whole event. And it was big. I mean, they didn't get Zuckerberg there, but they got, everybody else. They even got Alicia Keys there. Yeah. So I guess my question is, sort of like, what happened there? Because it seemed like that was going to be a real cornerstone, and it's obviously not.
It's a touchy subject. Facebook is handling this on a client-by-client basis, but what we saw was that clients weren't buying it mostly because it was very expensive. They were doing it on a cost per fan basis, but you had to have a certain number of fans, and there was a pretty big minimum to get in. So it was expensive. It guaranteed reach across 75% of all Facebook's fan base. So you could they could blast an ad, and they will guarantee you that over time, it was 3 months, 75% of every single Facebook user would see your ad. So compelling, but it was expensive. And I think performance wasn't quite there in terms of click-through rate. I have to reserve, final comments to Facebook. We're a big partner.
Right, I know. I like to put people on the spot. No.
But we are doing premium ads. It was also just premium ads too, by the way.
Yeah.
And Facebook is still running Reach Generator for some clients. In fact, a couple that we're working with, because they had said we'll do it. So it's not completely shelved. They're doing it for some clients, seeing how the performance is working. If the client wants to keep running, they will. But I don't know that it's fully available to anyone who wants to dive in right away.
Yeah, I mean, so, you have a question? Yeah.
Do you have a sense how much of the ads currently run on premium versus marketplace? And maybe for sponsor story, can you buy only as a marketplace ad, or can you also buy it as a premium ad as well?
So I don't. You have to get the number from Facebook in terms of premium versus marketplace. They only opened up premium buying to API partners like TVG Digital in the last maybe less than 2 months. So we are running premium. And we're doing it on a CPM and honoring whatever CPM contract the brand may have negotiated with Facebook. We'll run it. Still a minority for us. Again, it really depends on the campaign goal. Like I said before, CPM is impressions. That's good for brand awareness, messaging, just blasting your name out there. For actions, CPC is a much more efficient way to buy on Facebook. I'm sorry, the second half of your question I didn't quite get it. Was, can you buy sponsored stories in premium? Yeah. I believe you can do that. Yeah. In fact, well, I can do that, but why don't you take my email and we'll have a quick conversation about it, because I'd probably have to do a little bit of research to see like what kind of ad unit that would look like, what the placement would be. So I'm not totally sure.
I think I know your email. Do we have any other questions? Or I also kind of addressed this, but I wondered if do you know anything about like how, I mean, there hasn't been a lot of time, but do you know how, is there any sign there's kind of a drop off in what looks like a pretty tremendous click-through rate yet, or is it too early to know that?
I think there's a little softening in the mobile. Don't quote me officially yet. You'll see those numbers in our report in a week, which is picked up by Media Post and lots of others. So you'll see this, I'm sure. But it's it comes down to people getting used to what kind of an ad that is, or what is that room,
or even knowing that it's an ad.
Or knowing that
Yes.
it's an ad. Yeah. But they're still very good. Still really good engagement, and we're leveraging them more and more as we get to figure out where do they work best, and with what target, what audience segment, et cetera.
Just one other question, but if you have one, you can ask it. With Facebook Ad Exchange, which are you guys familiar with Facebook Ad Exchange? Yeah. Okay. So I won't. But basically, I think of it as the inverse to the Facebook Ad Network.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been kind of wondering about whether what kind of the advertiser interest is in that. I mean, obviously it's in a very small test at this point, so it's not like everybody has access to the product. But I mean, is that something that is interesting to advertisers, or are they focused more on the sponsored stories kind of thing?
Well, the focus is the sponsored story. The interest level is very high in the Facebook exchange. Retargeting has been around for a while, as we know, but retargeting on Facebook is something that the advertisers have been asking us for. We are not a DSP, but we are partnering with several of them, so that we will run. We'll take a chunk of the campaign and say, okay, let's allocate it towards retargeting on the exchange. So they're very interested in doing it. Tests back have also shown really good ROI on them. I'm sure there's a couple. Did you say there was a session on this? I know there's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have the exact numbers, but the ROI on the exchange has proved very promising. So look for more of that in Q3 report.
Okay. You're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Are you going to get into Facebook Ad Network at all?
No, I don't.
It's not really happening yet.
Twinkle in somebody's eyes there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything else? Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. Wait, let me give you the mic so people can hear you. Thanks.
At the beginning of the session, you mentioned that likes and followers weren't, I guess, as popular of a success metric anymore. But
right.
When you mentioned sponsored stories, that being a good tool for acquisition,
yep.
Do you see that coming back, or how do you think that's going to impact metrics that agencies are measuring?
Sure. So to clarify my point, 2010, 2011 were the years of just getting fans, right? And advertisers didn't necessarily care as much about who they were targeting. They just wanted cheap fans. So the result was lower quality fans. People would like your page, but they never would come back. I won't name names. We had one advertiser whose assets happened to be the cartoon character Snoopy, and they wanted to guarantee a cost per fan. And I said, you have Snoopy, I can get you like 20-cent clicks on Facebook, because everybody will click that, but not many people are buying your product. So that was kind of the mentality, and we're seeing a move away from that, where targeting matters, quality matters. They want people to come back to the page and engage. So that was one clarification. The point about actions or getting likes is really about actions. So sponsored stories are good for not just likes, but maybe drive to a page or download an app, whatever that action is. You're trying to get somebody to do something on your Facebook brand page. So that's kind of the difference versus just impressions, where you just want to serve up as many impressions as you can and do branding.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, please give Phil a round of applause.
Thank you very much,
Thanks a lot.
everyone. Thanks for reaching out. Thank you.
I think I know your email, right? Okay. Oh, he has it there. Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was Phil.Zulli@TBG.
I had it specially made for this conference.
Oh, well, thank you. That was very kind of you. And the other data is coming out in, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, again, apologize for the timing, but it's Kathy's fault because she set up the conference a week before our
Thanks
recording.
so much.
But
I know.
hopefully you'll hear of it. If you're interested in it, And by the way, the full Q2 report is available for download if you go to, well, you can email me and I'll send it to you, or you can download it from tvgdigital.com. Much more detailed data dive numbers in case you're a data geek. You know, you can geek out on that for probably an hour or so. So feel free to go get that one, or you know, email me, or look out for the Q3 report coming out soon.
Yeah, I'll probably end up writing about it, frankly. So, anyway, okay, thanks a lot.
Look for
Okay.
Kathy's article.
Yeah, okay. Social Media Insider. Thanks. And the next session starts in about 10 minutes.